Call the meeting to order.
You can be back today.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve minutes for Monday, August 13th.
I so move.
Second that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Give some real quick.
Yes.
Commissioners, I think our mayor has been in touch with you guys to discuss the first ever community leadership breakfast on September 14th, which will be held at the United Way, or be held at the Conference Center in conjunction with United Way. The event designed to raise money that will be matched by various community foundations to help a lot of the agencies that we have been funding in the past. The actual cost of the event is right at $3,000, $2,997.50. We had asked that the county co-sponsor the event for us, and I think the city's willing to pay half the cost for the event. And if the county would pay half the cost for the event, and then all the dollars raised at the event could go directly to the various nonprofits and charities that the event would support. Let me hand you a copy of the letter that we'll be sending out today to various community leaders.
Yeah, Commissioner Rodenhausen is out.
And then here's a copy of the invoice for the event.
Bud Cray speaking.
Bud Cray is speaking, yes.
So this is Friday, September 14th from 7 to 9.
approving this?
Approve co-sponsoring it and approve the county co-sponsoring it with those in the county's participation and putting $1,500 towards the event.
And how much would it be each?
1,500 apiece.
Yeah, that's the whole. So this will help like organizations that get funding?
Yes. What we're trying to do is, number one, put a spotlight on all these United Way agencies. They will have various booths that they can come and look at what the agencies do. But then we're just really trying to get community leaders engaged and get them to participate in levels that they haven't participated before. We think Bud's going to be a great speaker that day. Bud has spent 50 years very devoted to charities in Atchison and raising money for them and various different causes. So we're excited that he's going to speak that day.
How many people are you expecting to possibly?
We'd like, right now that the 1,500 is based off 250 people attending. So, once again, if we don't have 250 people by September 4th, cost is about $10 a head, $12 a head, so it would be.
And then do we have a table? Is that, like us, the county, do we have a table? Okay.
Yes. I'll make that call, yes.
I don't know, haven't heard any Mike's feelings on this. I think that
I don't know.
make a decision.
The mayor indicated to me that he had spoken to Mike and Mike was favorable.
Mike was,
That's what the mayor indicated to me.
Okay.
we got 1,500 that take out of the general fund.
Yeah.
That,
It looks like it goes toward a noble cause.
yeah, if we can get more people to participate in United Way, that should help out a lot.
I really want to use it with our organization. Our organization, I think we've had 4 or 5 people participate in the United Way historically. So I think we're going to work and find a way to get more people, even from our organization, participating in the United Way in 2013.
Once we get some foundations that are.
Yeah. Courtney Turner, very heavily involved, and then I think a couple other community foundations are also being involved. Rick Berger is trustee for a number of those foundations.
Mr. Chairman, I will move that we fund this event half of the city.
Second that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Give. So you got the full invoice. This is a copy we can keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll get Deb in touch with Pauline on how we work out the mechanics of payment.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah, what do you have for us real quick?
Got a PO, the computer went out of my truck yesterday. $1,168.55. That was.
Try to shut her down.
That when that goes out, you're done.
Chip, you got an IT guy. Yeah.
Yeah, we took that harness and hooked up to the computer. Found out that's what it was. And I was close to Smoley Chevrolet in Kansas City for Blue Springs. Closest place that had one. And that's all I have, but I might stick around. I know Tim Drury's here with the Water District, so.
Tim Drury with Blue Water number 5.
Yeah.
We are needing to run a water line down 262nd starting at Lincoln Road.
Okay.
We need to cross Lincoln Road, Mead, and Neosho. And we also need to
Man, I think we usually have Pat probably.
Yeah, I
He's
give-
not here today.
Yeah, I gave, Pat the initial letter for the same project on Monday,
Okay.
I
and,
had one more.
yeah,
Sounds good.
right, so we'll have to give that to Pat.
To Pat,
Yeah.
okay. It's pretty straightforward, would say, once we just get, once, Pat Henderson, our county counselor,
Okay.
reviews it, looks it over, I don't see why it'd be a problem.
I don't see a
approving it.
problem with
You
it.
can send us a letter back, or,
Yeah, or we can have,
I'm sure Pat will be
you know,
in
Pat will
touch.
try to notify.
okay,
Will he contact you, and does he have your contact information?
I can put it on there. Yeah,
That'd be,
Thank you.
We'll have, Pat review it and, maybe see him possibly tomorrow, get it to him and review it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming up. Mr. Lee, real quick for you, Scott, what do you have?
I've got a thing here, probably where, during the fair, Mr. Calhoun was, taking campaigning, and, pictures of it. About three. Let's see if we can. There's a taxpayer vehicle with an officer on duty there at the time. Clearly, Mr. Calhoun was campaigning with the pictures. There were 8 to 11 people behind it, another picture. With John Calhoun signs on there, same vehicle, same officer that's on duty. I've got 2 problems with this. First off, he's so manpower short, he won't check the IN numbers, or doesn't want to, or won't cancel, or hire somebody. Well, why would you hire somebody when their place is going to be replaced by somebody in a parade? And the second most important thing is that his opponent, Rory Calley, whatever his name is, he's got to depend on the contributions of other people for his things. And Mr. Calhoun is using the deep pockets of the taxpayer. I don't think that's fair, and more than that, it's also illegal. I don't think a person whose job is to enforce the law is above the law.
I do know that, I know, Pat Henderson is aware of this.
Okay.
There's been a.
I didn't know if you were or not.
But all I know is that, I think it's under investigation, and
Okay.
I think that just, I think Monday was the first that I knew about it, so.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Sure.
Scott. You guys ready? I think you had Larry and, I think Dick was in or something.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Dick. Well, thanks for coming up.
You bet.
We were having some questions on Memorial Hall trustees' budgets, and, you know, I'm not sure how it was set up or why it was, but, you know, like most boards are typically voluntary, you know, generally like no pay, and we were, once we reviewed the budget. Yeah, just when we reviewed the budget, I mean, you can imagine, as everything else, we kind of, we have questions. I'm new, maybe Tom knows, you know, I'm not sure, you know, what it is, so maybe we can get some explanations as far as, yeah, because I know we have an agreement with Rec Commission, you guys pay us rent, but I'm not sure how the tie-in with the Memorial trustees and all that works.
Well, I think the trustees are appointed according to the statutes.
Yeah, appointed by a commission.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the budget for Memorial Hall, I believe, I talked to Herb Wire, who was in my position previously, and I think he said for the last 40 years or so, the county has given Memorial Hall between $25,000 and $30,000 for the past 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I talked to her yesterday briefly about, just the history of that. He said that they had a director for Memorial Hall in the 50s and 60s, and they were paying that person a salary to, manage Memorial Hall. And then the Recreation Commission got involved, and the new director of the Recreation Commission, part of the deal was to take over management of Memorial Hall when they cut the cost, like 1/3 of the cost of what they were paying the previous director or manager. And that's how the Recreation Commission got involved, helping with the cost of running Memorial Hall. And then eventually, of course, with expenses increasing over the years, the Recreation Commission started kicking in some money just to cover the costs of maintaining Memorial Hall, and that's where the $25,000 came. I think originally it was like $5,000, 30 years ago. It's just increased to that amount to help out cover the costs.
Didn't that amount, that 25,000 for
Sure.
For what?
10 years, I think, I can't remember, a long time.
Well, and I think the question, Commissioner Bowden has away on a funeral today. Yeah, some of the questions that we had, it seems like we're having, with the windows, the lintels that are replacement, the roof here in the last couple of years, we're just trying to figure out, who's managing it. And I know there's statutes on Memorial Hall Board of Trustees. I guess I'm just trying to figure out, are we duplicating something? I know this isn't against you, Scott.
Right.
This is well before your time, well before my time, but we're just trying to figure out, isn't the board supposed to be the ones that are oversight over Memorial Hall, or am I missing something?
They are.
We approve.
The daily management, I think.
Yeah,
And
it's not there on a daily basis.
They hired me as the director for that.
Okay.
I think it's, with our expenses, in the past, we tried to cover, as much as we can as far as maintaining the building. We can do some smaller projects, but larger projects like the roof and all the lintels, we just don't have the funds for that amount. But, like in the past, 2011, we gave you the expense report for that, and we had, $23,000 spent, and that was for, just an example, the stone foundation on the southwest side of the building was coming off, and so we had to have that replaced, a new drive put in. We had some work on the scuppers on the roof, that was another $6,000. So most of the, we try and cover as much of the expenses as we can to, with help the structural integrity of the building.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think that explains pretty well, the board, Memorial Hall Board of Directors, has hired a manager for run the day-to-day activities. So, as far as I'm concerned, that director salary is probably maybe a little high, but what does the board think of that, Dick and Larry?
I personally don't feel it's high. considering he is responsible for seeing Memorial Hall taken care of and is there on a daily basis. He spends a lot of time working on Memorial Hall problems opposed to Recreation Commission. Recreation Commission, a lot of it is done away from Memorial Hall. I mean, out the sports complex or at school buildings where they have basketball games or, you know, but they have a lot of activities at Memorial Hall too. Do you guys have any idea how much that place is used?
Well, yeah, I was ready to ask you, you just said basketball games were playing at other schools. If the rec commission is using Memorial Hall, why isn't Memorial Hall being used for basketball?
Well, we have, like in the summertime, we have 55 teams playing in our summer league, so we use 4 gyms including Memorial Hall. And we have so many teams, we use all the gyms we can in town. So that's why.
Okay.
And I was just curious, I mean, as far as the pay for the director, I called Ottawa, they have a auditorium, and I asked them about if they have a director, and they have a director for their building, and I asked how much they could pay, and it's about $40,000 a year they get for managing that building.
Well, I guess, the only question that we were kind of, if you had a board of trustees, we were just trying to figure out why there was need for a director of.
Well, that's because I'm there for the daily, you know, they just approve it.
We're not there every day.
He kind of manages the whole building, the whole ball wax.
In the wintertime, especially in the wintertime, walkers go in there at 5:30 in the morning. Seniors like me go in there where it's warm so they can walk. And it starts that way, and then later on in the day, it may be volleyball or basketball or some other activity that goes on in there. But there's a tremendous amount of use on that building. Then in the winter also, they do roller skating in there on the weekend, which is kind of stuff I might add on the gym floor.
Yeah.
That's one of those
Yeah,
things.
wheels are not good. That's about all the questions that I have had. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we really.
He kind of explained, good job of explaining what all of it on.
Yeah, I talked to Herb, and he's been around for a while, so.
So is Herb the one that set this, or is this set up before Herb's time?
It was, I think Arlen Epperson
Okay.
was the one, like in the 60s, that the Recreation Commission started working with, Memorial Hall. I think it's kind of an exchange, their housing, the Recreation Commission exchange, the Recreation Commission kind of helps take care of that building, so we take a lot of pride in that building.
If you haven't been in there, you need to go in and take a look sometime.
Well, I've been in there lots of times.
He does, Scott does a real good job. Excuse me.
So Mike is the one that's never been in it, he says.
Yeah, Mike's
We're
there.
gonna come down and.
Yeah, he needs to take a look.
That's true, it is, for sure.
But you need to be down there sometime, there's about 150 kids in there.
How often do you guys meet as a board?
When it's needed, I guess, but like quarterly or more often than needed.
If there's a, large expenditure or, there's a problem with the building, we'll call a meeting.
And we usually hear back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hopefully it doesn't involve.
Yeah, hopefully
Try
that's
to cover,
Yeah.
all that. And that's, for our budget for this year, under the new improvements and that line, there's a lot of projects, that we're looking at doing, and another problem we have is we're having the same problem with the stone on the foundation. It's on the east side, southeast side of the building, the stones are
No,
There's
it's
three.
60 something.
Yes,
Get
we do.
That's you, that's, yeah.
Oh,
That was good.
yeah.
To, KDOC, put last year on the
That's a convenience fee, you know.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you.
How's it going, Joe?
Pretty good. How's everything today?
Did you get a person, to clean? I know, health department had inquired and they hadn't seen anybody that's coming down to clean.
But, last I talked to them, I assumed that they were hiring somebody for a temporary. I'll call them today and find out.
Yeah, they were under the impression that you were gonna hire somebody to,
No, I told them that the person that's cleaning Memorial Hall may want to, pick up some extra money, but they didn't, so. I don't have the budget for that, so if we were to hire somebody, it would have to come from somewhere.
definitely give her a call.
Okay.
Work something out, it's kinda like they,
If I,
they've been doing it themselves, but,
well, if I hire somebody, is there a budget for that somewhere?
well, she's off, don't you have?
I have to pay her.
Her vacation and sick, so we're actually paying her. She's vacation sick coming through.
Correct, so, I mean, her pay goes on until, for a while, and I don't have any cushion in my budget at all. Matter of fact, I'm worried about going over this year, so.
Well, call her and, see what kind of solution you guys can come up with, and then, you know, well, who's cleaning the rest of the buildings right now, like up here, if Gianotti's off?
The maintenance guy is doing it here.
Okay.
They used to do it.
What about the rest of the courthouse? Jan
She
wasn't
was
doing?
not involved in the courthouse. She, was involved in community corrections, Memorial Hall, Health Department, and jail.
So, hold on, we pay her to do Memorial Hall as well?
Yes.
Wouldn't, we just had the group in for Memorial Hall, why wouldn't they be taking care of it since where are we paying for somebody to clean Memorial Hall?
That was worked out with the commissioners, several years ago to help save county funds by, having one person rather than, in the past, you had 4 people. And it was, you know, it's pretty expensive to get, especially some of them were using, services. So this here was, a way to resolve all that, plus to get somebody to do it.
I'm just curious, when we're giving them over 30,000 to run it, and they just explain that's their day-to-day operations, I don't understand why we're paying for somebody to
Well,
do it.
that's for chemicals for the boiler, in the wintertime, it's, I think, around $5,000 a month just for gas. The water is like $160 a month if you don't use any, because it's commercial. Then the power, I don't know what that is, I mean, big lights use a lot of electricity. Cleaning supplies, poultry, and all that, I mean, it adds up pretty quick. Years ago, they didn't have a money to go, and that's just why the recreation started kicking in, because there was not enough money to even operate.
Then we can probably discuss that possibly next week, we might get back, but
Okay.
we might review their budget a little bit harder probably next year. But yeah, for us today, we got a lot of budget stuff to cover.
Okay. This here is just an idea. I talked to you about the pigeons. Now, Memorial Hall will handle their own amount, but in order to try to get it as cheap as possible by having them together, kind of use
Anybody, churches, anybody with high ability.
Any places,
People-
purchase it. I think part of our problem came when we tore down the old Pillsbury's mill. I think a lot of those pigeons relocated to Memorial Hall and the courthouse, as well as other buildings. The other day I pulled into Memorial Hall, and one day I counted 43 pigeons in Memorial Hall, so next year that'll be 87.
So Electra-Track is what?
That's where they actually lay down a track that's electric, and it's kind of hidden. If they step on it, it actually gives them a shock. These, first two are more permanent solutions. I asked them to give me all of the different solutions that they would have to remedy the pigeons. And like I said, the first two are more permanent. The trapping or the chemical treatment is, you know, good for a year, and then it may be all right for a year or two, and then you may be back doing it again. And they will not be, the chemical treatment, they don't kill the pigeons, they only make them sick, so they move on to other buildings. So it won't be killing it unless it was be a real weak bird or something like that. The trapping, they will take them and release them somewhere else. Which, from what I've read, pigeons have a huge range
They
they
just
can come back.
do it on.
Yeah, they know where home is, so I don't know how successful that would be.
Chemical treatment?
And that price there is that would be a full 12 months that we would have to have them treat that. Like I said, one of these is for Memorial Hall, which Memorial Hall will have to figure out what they want to do, and then it was for the courthouse.
So what are their two chemical treatments?
One's for Memorial Hall, and one of them would be for the courthouse.
Which one has the 10 and which one has the 15?
Let's see, the top one is Memorial Hall, the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the courthouse. Chemical treatment is $375 a month. And then you would have the initial setup of 15 treatments stations at $25 per week. That's just for the courthouse, and what all is above there. It's a little cheaper for Memorial Hall because it's a little easier to get to.
Oh, so the $25 per unit is in addition to.
That's when they come to set it up to start with, that's what it would be. And then after that, it's $375 per month, for 12 months. And after that, they feel that they can stop it for a while and see how things go.
Is that pretty effective?
I've never seen where they just made them sick. I know that when they treat them, used to treat them with poisons and kill them, that'd be very effective. Would it make them ill? I don't know. They say it is.
These are pretty big numbers just to control pigeon population.
I also called the city and asked them about shooting them. You're not allowed to shoot any projectiles inside city limits. No exceptions. Like I said, this is something for next year, which, you know, they did happen last night, so, you know, we can start something after the first of the year to get rid of it. So I can understand the budget's pretty tight this year.
No, I don't.
That's all I have.
Yeah, actually, how much damage to the pigeons do you, other than?
There's a lot of health concerns about them. I've received a lot of complaints at courthouse because of smells, types of those. A lot of it's being blamed on, pigeons.
I've got a speech to say before I go into this,
I mean, there's a lot more than,
and I'm not,
the bad thing about it is eventually they're gonna get to the point where they'll have to do something.
I'm very disappointed. I'd like to see you. You would be too.
We could probably discuss it with Mike when he gets back,
Okay.
see what he thinks.
All right. Thank you.
Marlene?
Well, there it goes again, you gotta listen to the radio before you can hear things about what's happening in the county. I just want to express myself that I'm very disappointed in your courtesy and your professionalism in not conferring with me about this part-time job fill.
Budget here, that was a budget, we were talking about budgets. It's not set in stone yet.
Okay, but that's.
We haven't had a chance to call you up yet.
Okay, but have you done that before you put it on the news?
Marlene, it's open records, it was an open meeting.
That's fine, but when it was concerning me, I'm still the registrator, I'm still the elected person.
That's correct.
You're elected too.
Correct.
The clerk is elected too.
Correct.
And I think you should have conferred with me before all this happened, even if I am retiring
Mm-hmm.
next year. And whatever they do, whoever gets it, we do not know at this time who's
Correct.
gonna get it. That will be up to them. But I feel, and I was hurt to think that you would be talking about my office, talking about putting it part-time. That has happened before. We had part-time. I had it years ago. That does not work. I'll just tell you that. It does not work. Because who's gonna be in control of that person? You're gonna, when one's sick and you want the one person to come over, I mean, it's happened. They won't give you permission to have help or vacation. It presents problems. I'm just telling you. But, I mean, I don't go around and advise other offices, elected officials, how to run their office, who to put in their office, and what they do. They are appointed by the people to do that themselves, and I respect that. And I'm just saying, I think that this is not handled right. And I just feel very hurt to think that.
Okay, well, let's discuss it. Let's discuss it right now.
What?
We'll discuss the position, Pauline's here too. So let's discuss.
Well, I don't think the part-time part's gonna work, and, I don't think that's the reason budget-wise for having a part-time person either.
Okay.
I don't think that's behind it.
And I was, caught off guard, but, I mean, I did discuss it with Shelley, but she will get in, but we don't know.
No, but you didn't discuss it with me.
No, I discussed it with her.
But I'm still the registered
I know,
deed.
you are.
Still
And
my
I'm sorry.
office.
I'm sorry, but we were just talking. But I don't think it should be where it's, because we won't know anything until next year, and we won't know, and then at that time, maybe we need to discuss. But I think that we need to leave it as it is, the budget.
I have two ladies in there that are planning on still working here. And I don't know, one's talking about retiring, but that's not for sure.
And if
It
Shelley.
had no bearing on the discussion, it had no bearing at all. We
And
weren't even
if Shelley doesn't get
discussing it.
in, then who do I cut? 'Cause, I mean, I can't.
Regardless of who gets in there, with putting stuff online, whoever gets in there, both people that are gonna put stuff online, and that's gonna cut down on a lot of your traffic coming in and out.
Not necessarily, sir. You're not thinking. I know the technology is great, and yes, technology is going to change, but we are putting things on the computer right now. We are back in year 84. And you're going, you know, we still do that. You've got to get all that indexing on, and you just don't snap your fingers doing that. That takes time. I mean, I've had people come in and say, you know, that the two people in my office, they're working all the time. I'm not saying this about other offices, but they have work in front of them all the time, and they do. And that's not gonna cut down on our traffic.
So putting stuff online is not gonna cut down on traffic.
You're still gonna have the public, all people do not have things online.
We get an awful lot of requests from realtors, title companies, and attorneys, which are probably your primary users of deeds.
But they're not gonna get everything online.
I mean, you still got public coming in to file, so.
Right.
I mean, that's not gonna cut down.
No.
And usually your abstractors come in and they don't,
And they
bother you that much, do they? They just go back and.
They go back and they use the old records. I mean, that's not online.
We can't put those online?
As I told you before, when Pat and I was discussing it, it's not redacted, and I did talk to CIC. And to redact, I don't know what that's gonna cost, and how that's even gonna work, you know, and you cannot cut help. Just because you're gonna put it online, you're running into a lot of problems. And
We're running into problems putting it online?
Yes.
Because?
There is a new House bill out, and I'm hoping they defeat it. You're having, and I think our appraiser is right now, he's having people call, I don't wanna say this, they do not want their things online. They do not want their information online. All that has to be taken off. Everybody does not want everything personal, or their deeds, their mortgages, they do not want that online. And there is a statute out there right now.
Is there like limited access when somebody, so say like a title company or whoever is accessing it, I would assume that they have access to that specific deed they're searching, they can't start searching across the whole broad spectrum, is that correct?
Right now they do, right, but I don't know if it's just.
I hadn't heard that House bill, so I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, so it's presenting lots of problems that, how you gonna do a title search? Your books will be open for it, what I'm understanding, but online business, no. So you're going to have to, it's, online is not good for everything. But that's, I mean, I'm just listening to what other registers are saying on there about this. Are you aware of that, Bill?
Would you happen to know what it's called, short title? There's just House Bill, Open Record, something like that?
Yeah, it's a House bill.
Is it a new
Okay.
one?
Yeah, it's new.
Oh.
I'll go pull that up and figure it out. What kind of ramifications?
I've not-
Is it one where they're limiting public access or they're requiring public access?
It's limited, you can't have it on the public access.
Okay.
I've not gotten into it, I hope we do not get any demands for it, they have to request it,
Okay.
a formal request and everything for this, you know.
Is that the standard procedure right now, is that they have to, somebody that wants to see a deed, they have to formally request a specific deed, or can they just show up and say, I want to look at the deed?
We have public records now.
Okay.
Everything is public, until you have this request that you have to, and I think the appraiser has had it already, where he's taken things off.
An actual person like me comes in and requests it.
No, it's not just,
Me,
well.
except for my own property, is that what you're saying?
But it's for just certain people, law enforcement.
Oh, yeah, we have that through election. They can request that their address be stricken from the registration book, so that law enforcement, judges, anybody of that sort can be stricken from, their address be stricken from the voter registration book, so nobody can check the
restrict all this, and you take it from everything, and you have all your title people, and you wanna sell, let's say you're a judge, and you wanna sell your place, there's no records, how they gonna, you know, there's a lot of issues going on right now with this, so.
It's just.
Most laws intend well, but they have.
It was intended well, but it wasn't thought out.
Right, well, the unintended consequences are hard, nearly impossible, what things out 5 years.
I know
from now.
certain properties have to be excluded for various reasons, so.
So, you know, I'm just saying that our CIP people are working on making a program so we can go in and do this if we have the request or whatever. But I was just saying that I felt like I was still the elected official there, and I didn't.
Apologize. So we haven't had a chance to get with you. It's been obviously a very interesting budget season, so.
And I hope the next one, you know, I don't know what they will do, I have no idea how they will handle things. or
This is
whatever.
probably the first one we've ever done where we've actually brought people back up and actually, I mean.
Well, I didn't know I was
been
supposed to come
multiple.
up, I came up on my own. To complain about, you know.
Sure.
So, but I do not want to cut two people. Or cut one.
Yeah, we weren't calling two. We didn't.
To be total one.
Yeah, because we were looking to see if there was a way that you could share a person in the clerk's office to split duties.
No.
So you're that busy, you have that need for 3 people in
Yes.
there.
It just makes lots of problems if you have to, you know, when two people are there, it's busy, and you have the telephone, and you've got people, and you've got documents. And we're getting a lot of work, documents, the city brings in a lot of weed assessments and things, you know, 25 at a time or whatever, and that all has to be put on. And the index system, I don't know of anybody that's doing away with registered deeds, except maybe your large counties that are doing away with your indexing in the books in the back. I mean, that's just, you do not ever want to get rid of that. Even though you put it on.
We would like to have our budget back reinstated of the original.
I agree, with you on that. I think we ought to, as a commission, respect the elected officials, what they ask for, that they feel they need to run their office. I don't think we ought to be micromanaging.
We have never, Marlene has never gone over budget. There's other departments that have, but I mean, we always try to stay within it. I mean, I'm not elaborate in what, you know.
No, and I don't think any of us ever implied that that was. We were just wondering if you could share personnel down the courthouse. Because you know, we have between 7, 3, that's 10. We have 15 people between 3 offices, excluding the appraiser's office. And it's not necessarily busy in every one office every single day, and we're just wanting to know if it's a possibility that your offices can share a person that could rotate.
And it's really, it would be hard, you know, to rotate because one department might want them when you want them, or, you know, it's kind of.
It's very hard. And then when things come up, you gotta leave.
I mean, I'd be willing to share if the treasurer's office needed somebody to step envelopes or something, and one of my girls is not busy. I mean, you know.
Well, I've done that in the past, the appraisers, we used to have stuff on books and things.
You know, I mean.
But not on a daily basis, you know.
I think treasurer sends that stuff out, doesn't she? She outsources that.
She does now, she outsources it to Presort, but,
Yeah.
you know.
Postal Presort.
We work with other departments on doing stuff, so it's not like. That's my request, is to have it put back where it is.
We can talk about
Discuss it next year, when the new one is in at that time, bring everybody up and discuss it, all departments, I think.
Put it under your thoughts. Mike will be back next week, so try to discuss it with Mike
Discuss
on
it
Monday.
with, departments, do something with.
Chase Prince,
Rick,
Bruno, he's,
project manager.
He's an intern we hired.
Yeah, he's now
Oh.
project manager for the whole
For
solid
site
waste.
deal, but.
oh, okay, well, I didn't know, I just,
oh, he's very,
I know
he's
Mary.
radio isn't here.
I don't know. Well, thank you for listening, if that's all we need here, you know,
Woody, thank you for coming out.
okay, thank you for listening. And no changes. Thank you, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Chase, what do you have for a sec?
Just, well, nothing on the solid waste front, I was here for the budget.
Okay.
Have we considered just buying alka-seltzer for the pigeons, cause that's toxic to them? It's, I mean, the ridiculousness of pesticides is, I mean, the cost of them, and the fact that they're toxic to humans too, humans as well, it's, just take some alka-seltzer, some Brooklyn, and feed it to the pigeons, and they just fall over, and alka-seltzers are not toxic to us.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty cheap.
It's about $8,000 to do the chemical treatment for 2 places for a year. That's the cheaper option. The other options are $50,000 to $70,000 a year.
To treat a building for pigeons.
I knew we had some pigeons, but I haven't really noticed a whole lot of major activity. Is there stuff all over? I haven't noticed like any pigeon droppings all over. I guess maybe I haven't missed.
I mean, maybe on the front side of
Morning, Ray and Diane, what's a good way to get rid of pigeons?
That would be a very last question.
Where are they at?
County buildings?
Are they open buildings or is it on the outside ledges?
Well,
outside.
outside ledges.
Oh, there's a little, physical apparatus, kinda looks like a hairbrush sticking up, these little spiny things, it's metal spiny things, and that will discourage them from nesting on ledges. So you physically have to attach those spiny things to the ledges where birds congregate and nest.
You have to cover the whole ledge.
Yeah, so it's,
They say, somebody told us that they build nests on top.
They build nests on top of that, I think.
okay.
So they're cushions.
So it is the courthouse?
Courthouse and Memorial Hall, I guess, has pigeon problems.
Be careful what I say about this.
We can't shoot them.
You see them?
We can't shoot them. We can't.
You can't see them.
For multiple reasons.
Who could, it used to be a 4-H
Yeah.
chicken
Oh,
project,
they're,
or something, we could adopt them.
They're probably the trapping, if there was a place where they congregate,
Yeah.
stuff on top of it.
That still requires a lot of
I
time.
mean,
and- Yeah, you can do that.
It's labor intensive.
Yeah, you have to release them like so many miles, and it says on there how many miles away, twice. Otherwise they can find home.
At one time, years ago, in one of the communities, it was a vacant abandoned building. Some folks from Manhattan were training bird dogs. They came up one evening and trapped over 100 pigeons, and then they took them to Manhattan, and when they released them, they were part of their bird training. So they'd release them and knock them down, and dogs would go to retrieve them. And that was done, I mean, that service was done at no cost to the building. Trapping is a very labor-intensive situation where the pigeons are of the Memorial Hall that said, I mean, they're walk-in traps, to where pigeons walk in, and so if you ever get that done where they walk in on the ground, you wouldn't have to do it one time. And then, quite honestly, at K-State, we do have a wildlife damage control specialist, and that is the kind of questions I would refer to him as far as, what are some options? Because, I mean, the wire apparatuses plus trapping are a couple. It's just the magnitude of pigeons in a community there's lots of pigeons. Or you catch the right pigeons.
They like to congregate.
Yeah.
You know, years ago when the FFA used to have pest eradication.
Yeah.
Projects, do they still do that?
Sparrow, I don't think so. The sparrows and starlings and rats and mice,
Go out at night, go up in the barns, catch some pigeons.
yeah.
Kids get a prize for catching the most.
It's on the team and keep track of how many points. Yeah. I don't think that probably happens today, though.
You know, you got statutes that protect the wildlife and stuff.
Budget-wise, it looks like, just the request is pretty minimal, about 4%.
Or extension?
Yeah, the extension budget. Look pretty minimal. I don't think any of us have a problem with that. Question we have still comes back to the copier, and we gotta figure out some municipal solution. You know, if it's, you know, if we need to take the copier and we can repurpose it, then just have you guys handle the copier on your own. You know, we're just trying to figure out a solution, and then also what are we gonna do with the remaining 2 quarters in the year, as far as the funding the costs, as far as.
We're in a meeting right now. We're in a meeting.
We still have 2 more quarters in the year that are, you know, if we're gonna do that same amount, it's gonna be.
I mean, dollar-wise, I guess I'm not really sure what the extension was allocated per quarter, or is it a dollar figure?
Yeah, the dollar amount was being used out of the capital outlay. And so the capital outlay has about a balance of like $75 roughly left in it, but we have 2 more quarters to go, you know, and if the copier is on pace, you know, $700-800, I mean.
9,000.
They're gonna do. Let we look at those options as far as repurposing on what, I don't know, that means, and again,
3,500 for a really good one.
both from an extension standpoint,
And.
I guess I'm hearing you say,
one
sort of
that's
potentially, if
not
we,
productive.
extension council, get back to the old days when we did all the expenses for a copy machine.
Yeah, like
and those,
for 2013.
yeah, those would be new costs, in some ways. And if that comes back to extension of responsibility, there would probably be some resistance to doing a service contract where we're at right now.
Sure.
So.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Oh, yeah, and so whether or not, I mean, quite honestly, if you're looking at,
Okay.
over the budget for 2012 per quarter, I mean, just this year, 2012, with Diane being on sabbatical, Ashland County Extension didn't have the requirement for salaries, because that's picked up by Kansas State University. So there is some funds this year that would potentially could be used to pay that copy, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, the lights, I mean, once you spend dollars, they're gone, of course, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I can appreciate we need to cover copying responsibility, because they're, or just in our business, you do need a certain number of physical papers, or so much you can do electronically, but you do need physically to have paper, you gotta run it through some kind of duplicating machine, so.
Sure.
You know, with that being said, I think as they made the budget request this year, because the fact of the sabbatical, and they can request less money. If we take that money to pay for it this year, then it's kind of like next year, it's kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak.
Okay, I'll check.
With the copier, I mean, as we met last time, I tried to go back and analyze, numbers, and one probably, would be this year back, last year I was supposed to have hip replacement in April, didn't, so I kind of changed some of my programming to fit back here and then do sabbatical, so this year it's gonna be higher in copies, probably that March, I came off sabbatical March to June, as I even go back and look at programming, would have been increased programming, because I did like a series of classes of Learning Center, I know I did the 409 school type thing, so probably so I'm not for sure how that contract was written, but we probably tend to operate more on a yearly cycle than we do on a quarterly cycle, if that helps, and I don't know if there's that negotiation, and then probably the other thing, yesterday we had Rico back out working with the machine, they were there probably 5 or 6 hours. There is some, I would just have to say, mistake copy. So I may be in the middle of copying 100 copies, and the machine was flipping, going from up and down, to all of a sudden it would flip over to sideways, and so then might be 30 copies that it did that, and flip back over. And that's I'm standing there, and because my office is in the next room, you just don't see those things come out and go, oh! It kind of messed up, and it wasn't a consistent problem. Maybe there's enough inconsistency that makes you sound like you're crazy when you talk about it. So I think that's another factor that's come into that copy numbers there. I don't know if that's helpful.
I don't know if it's a solution, I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, so you're looking not only in the budgeting process, which you had your workshop, I guess, yesterday, you continue to work on the budget, so you're looking at 2013, so you're looking at future things, but for the immediacy,
yeah, we've also got, that's a cash flow situation.
Okay. Ballpark wise, as far as, you say we're over capital outlay, you say we're down 75, and no doubt that's already gone. So, I mean, yeah, so it's probably negative out here, meaning somebody else has covered, so if extension needed to, extension with the understanding of salaries, $500 get you where you need to get, where you feel more comfortable.
How many copies we're going to do? I mean, that was, I think the last quarter was 7.
$700 and some dollars.
Okay. So quarter, okay.
Copy.
Yeah, quarter.
Okay, so you'd go 700, yes, that's as far as whether the quarter was a high quarter, essentially 1,000, 1,400. If we were on that page, and I'm not sure. Okay.
Do you have any idea, I mean, what it was contracted in for a quarter? Because Wes would have done all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just basically came in, kind of got a copy reading, didn't visit with us about machine needs or, you know, how our flow cycle ran.
Mm-hmm. I know black and white was like 260, if I remember right, for the entire, for like 11 or 12 different copiers.
Would it be a new copier, if that thing is, keep it messing up, or if it can't be fixed, evidently, if West couldn't do anything about that?
Yeah, I thought they replaced the bunch, like, pretty much better. Is it not operating like it should, or?
Well, like now they're going to replace a fuser unit. So what we have is a copier that I think when it came in, it probably had about 400,000 copies in it. They didn't do it. They just, what we found out kind of after the fact is they just brought it in from a law firm, put it in our office without any service with that. So kind of, when it first started, I mean, there was like screws loose and we had jamming problems. And so what Rico's approach to it has been is just as the problems occur, to kind of come fix that piece by piece. So eventually maybe we'll have a new machine. But I mean, that's kind of been their approach rather than say, and so some of it is dealing with how they set it up on our network printing, and so part of the trace switching yesterday, then Dwayne was there, well, he had done something that Tracy had done, and Tracy had done something that somebody else had done, so they're probably trying to figure out those issues, and so in their scope of business, we're probably a pretty small problem, but I'm getting ready for 4-H camp and it doesn't print, it's a big problem to me.
I know you guys have a tight budget for 2012, I mean.
Oh, yeah, remember that tight budget, so how much that goes back as far as with the perception from Rico to replace the previous machine? I think there was probably a perception there was going to be a new machine came in. Well, apparently that wasn't a new machine that came in, and so yes, as they go, added this part, added this part, added this part, I mean, it's an old body of a machine with new parts. Are they functioning satisfactory? Some days yes, some days no. And so it is that communication with Rico, and I think even if you visit with Rico, they said you have to have a higher technician visits than they would like to see.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, in the machine, like we in-house we'll do our own postcards or stationery, because even though there's expense, it's cheaper for us to do it in-house versus send it, in this case, state or somewhere to a commercial printer. So things like postcards that we, on the old machine, that we could run through and just run they just said to us, this is a business machine and you can't do it, or even like putting a first generation copy that I printed from the printer, and if I want to go ahead and do a second generation, it will be kind of a fuzzy copy. So we probably have two issues of us overspending, and is the machine really the right machine? And it's probably just one of those things that we probably operate a lot different than any other office in the courthouse just because of how we are out doing business, I mean, at the educational side of it.
Yeah, taking this out here, you mentioned Rico. So what is
that is who you have your contract with. Rico is that previous with.
And they furnish the printers, or they use.
It is a Rico printer.
Yeah.
And they, I mean, I don't know how many different Rico printers you've got in different offices.
11, 12, something like that.
Extension was included with that one, and so then it was, the previous one was a Sharp. Yeah. So the Sharp left, and the Rico came in. So it is a Rico machine and Rico services.
Can't we get them, say, hey, you fixed this so many times that you're still not doing the job? Can we get them to get us another printer?
Yeah, and I'm going to answer as a extension maker. If it was a consumer that I was working with and they'd entered into the contract with them, I would be advising that consumer to ask my business to kind of honor the contract. At this point in time, I answered that kind of as an agent answer. That was private. Right now, I'm sort of biased, so you have to also take that. And I try. I mean, it's as many service calls as we've had. It's just the sheer fact that, at least from our end, what we were told was an equal replacement. It's really not an equal replacement machine in capabilities. I also understand on their part, they probably had a whole contract they were negotiating, and so we're looking at the big deal versus maybe an individual deal and kind of give and take. So I need to be adult enough to realize that. I'll photo that picture there.
So say, is the limit or not, Tom? I don't know. I mean, they're going to say no, but then again, they've got the work history as far as how many visits they've had, so, I mean, it definitely had a higher number than what's But at the same time, as far as,
Be looking for another contract with this company or another company or something.
I think let's say it was a 5-year, so this is like year 1 of 5, so. I think it was one of those things, you were in a tight situation too, as far as just trying to, work through this.
So, to get into the end of the year, I don't know what, I'm at a loss to try to figure out how we can, do you want, I mean, we could do multiple things. I mean, I guess if we covered it to the end of the year, I mean, you know, we may reduce that amount from the potential appropriations that you guys requested. I mean,
you didn't like.
And then if you get, I know, and I'm just trying to figure out like
what we did. I mean, last year's appropriations, we got the copy machine this year. As far as how much less it is,
yeah, it's like $4,659.
It kind of copier, I think Tom was on the commission at the time, probably Jeff wasn't. There was the capital outlay account was set up outside the extension budget to do the van, and then we had some extra dollars, so we needed to replace the copy machine at that point in time. We went ahead and did it, and then kind of to keep our budget kind of lower at that point in time, and I think we said, well, there was extra, if I remember right, it was $20,000. I may be wrong on the figure of that, and there's probably some dollars that been added. But then that got funded outside the budget, and so then at this point in time, we pick that back up. Then it's kind of, okay, where do we cut other dollars? Because as you look at our budget over time, it's been fairly level funded for several years. I mean, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, and you also get to deal with that on a county level too. So.
How much would they have to raise your budget for expenditures to cover printing?
Well, presently, I guess I would almost suggest we're doing 0 printing expense, so it's whatever has been the amount is it coming off the capital outlay probably? Would that be the amount that's printing?
I mean, it probably really has. I mean, it's really been a transfer, actually, of cost. It was in that capital outlay account because the service contract was funded out of there. So prior to those days, then we would have been paying for, we didn't have the service contracts on machines, but we would have paid for, PMs or the toners that go in, which is considerably less, I mean, cost-wise, and we just kind of, I think at that point in time, kind of felt like that was the better, most of the other county offices were more on a printing contract. Now, with current machine, I would recommend that contract, because right now we probably have more than paid for service calls for them coming out to work on the machine.
If like next year we said, hey, the copier isn't working out that we have from Rico in there, and we took that out, you guys still have a copier, the older copier, is that right? You still have that?
It was sold on Purple Wave. I personally, when April when it was sold, we were still having major issues with copier, and so just as I looked at what it sold, so I went ahead and personally purchased that with the idea that we may buy it back, because Wes was kind of saying that we might sell it and trade it, and so just what I knew retail value, and as I went out and looked at eBay, what our copier would have gone for on places like that, I just felt like it was probably a good purchase. And so right now I have a copy machine that may go to extension, or our church is maybe looking at one, and so I kind of looked at all. But yeah, so it is available, and it would be for sale back to extension if it was.
Would that be a possibility next year? Is that something you guys prefer, just take over that, or
then you would reimburse us, for what we've got into it and help with some of that printing expense in our budget, or how would that go?
That's a good question. money for that, then that becomes, there's an increase, you get a copier that you could possibly sell back to extension, use that, I mean, is that cheaper for you? Cheaper.
I mean, based on the history, the old machine, I mean, we probably had maybe 2 service calls the entire time we had it, so I would have felt comfortable if we continued it without a service contract. Now, that's not to say that it might break down all the time now, but, as it's set there, you know, if I had the Rico and turn that over to me, I would say I still need a service contract just based on the history of how it's performed currently.
Mm-hmm. Well, you two tell me, like, what you want, and what,
Well, I mean.
do you wanna keep that, or?
We don't know, but I wonder, well, like with the RICO contract, I think we are allocated X number of copies
Yeah.
per month or whatever.
Yeah.
Sort of,
Like.
there's a potential temporary solution to go ahead and get the Sharp back online, and what that means, Jim, I don't know, I mean, they start talking about drivers, one thing, I don't think it's just as easy as plugging the cord back in and it is ready to go. It may take, I shouldn't put it may take $1,000 to get back online. So then it's as we're, I'm gonna use the term experimenting, just to see if it is still the satisfactory machine it was when we traded it out. It's what it is, that potentially that uncertain, but I am not aware that there should be, I'm just not aware, I mean, Wes cleaned out the drivers, took off memory, and that should not be an issue as far as
Sure.
memory that was taken away, but that's just part of doing business when you change out technology machines. So is that a potential, I mean, leave this RICO there, since we have a service contract, try to get the Sharp back online and make sure it is, before we say Sharp's gonna be our designated copier, which again, it's getting some age on it. I'm not to say it's a bad machine, because it has been very, very acceptable up till now. So it's kind of that, I'm still staying with a used car versus getting a new car, so. But that may be it, I mean, I'm just saying, if you're talking RICO's gonna go away, yes, we probably want some assurance that what is there is acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely write,
I wonder if we need to talk to Wes, or who we need to talk to?
Just make them aware, I mean, certainly, it's just so keep everybody kind of in the loop as far as, maybe after yesterday, little Wayne's reconnecting one thing or the other, that maybe the RICO's gonna be just top notch too, but it's, I mean, they're gonna just, as Diane mentioned, it has some shortcomings that the previous machine didn't have, and so, since we still have access to that one, whether or not you commissioners buy the machine from Diane and still your machine and it's placed in the extension, that can be figured out later, I assume, if it comes to be.
I think it's an extension purchase it from
Yeah,
It'd be cleaner for everybody probably, but.
Yeah, and right now, I'm just kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with just waiting and with it until we kind of figure out something, so.
So you're gonna check into just seeing what it would take to get that one possibly up and going?
I mean, it won't happen today or this week.
Sure, yeah.
This week.
My experience within printers is it's been sitting idle for a year almost. I think more probably have all kinds of problems with it.
It may be Tom, I just don't know.
So it hasn't been used at all?
When they took it out in March, I mean, it was there, and then they took it probably and put it on the Purple Way, so it hasn't been used since then, and then, so we haven't really, since I purchased it, we really haven't plugged it in, it's back at the office, because that just seemed like a natural place to take it, and so, if it doesn't work, then it's also probably my gamble. It's my expense versus somebody else's, so.
But Diane had a little conversation with our K-State technology guys, and even though copiers are not, they don't mind working on helping us distance-wise on computers and technology that way. When you start moving over to copy machines, they have purposely tried to stay out of that and let extension councils work through local service people and make sure those things. It sounded like they were maybe willing to make one exception and not let everybody know that they might help get the printer back online. Which means I think it's installing drivers.
Yeah,
sure, I mean, technology got on it in there, and as you well know, as far as per hour cost on those are not cheap. And I don't know that technical school has anybody that services those.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's any training program that technical school has.
that's a good question. Maybe.
Yeah, it may be, you know, even worth, if we can't get it working, you know, even like Logan seems to be pretty upfront with this as we visited with them, I mean, vendors. And so it may be worth, okay, here's what it seems to be doing, if you came out, give us a ballpark estimate of what you think it would take to get online and then before we operate it, either come back to you or that kind of thing, just to be responsible with that rather than just. So is that kind of the direction that you got, I mean, are we helping with that decision-making process here?
Yeah, I think we pretty much, you know, I guess the first step would be just to see if it's what the expense would be getting that old one up, if that's feasible, if that's the route. You know, it's like you said, it may be cost prohibitive, and then, you know, we need to, you know, discuss with Rico as far as, you know, getting something in there, because they're not performing up to contract with us. Discussing with them.
Printing color, is that a must?
It depends, I mean, there's some things, I try to make judgments on black and white versus color, and so if it's, just a handout that we're gonna read, then you pretty much will do that in black and white. If I'm discussing like Learning Center and I'm talking about my plate that has color coding with it and I'm teaching it, I'm probably gonna put it in color just to help that learner do better. It's like trying to use some judgment with that over.
Better vision of it.
Yeah, I mean, and so there's some farmer's market, I probably have done some recipes and I probably have put a little spot color on that, which costs more, but it's kind of that picking up attention. I've done some experiments sometimes with things I've had black and white, and I've also done a program where I've done color, and it's interesting. I mean, people will just end up doing that color, but you just have to use your judgment with it. So I've tried to do that, and since you come back, then I've tried to even in my own mind analyze, okay, why, and as I've looked that last quarter that we've worked in, I think just the audience that I've worked, I've done a lot of nutrition, education, and probably some of those pieces have been more of a color versus if I'm doing budgeting pieces, I'm kind of be black and white. It seems to be pretty effective there.
Well, we print for you, be black and white. But
Do you use this as your printer also?
yeah.
So wouldn't it be cheaper to buy a printer because your cartridges are cheaper?
Well, you would think so.
Because we're paying for extra colored copies that are not in the actual.
Yeah, price isn't that much like printing off. I know that those are, you can get quite a bit of copies out of the laser.
If they're using
We have an old printer that, I mean, quite frankly, when the shirt came in, and it does a nice, and Regal will do a nice job on some things, but we're then set up to be a printer, using a 10-year-old printer versus a newer printer. It was, I mean, that was just a duplication. Let's just use copy machine / printer, and the printer still sits there, and I think I got a new cartridge a week ago. We got a new cartridge just for that backup if we needed a print, but I think the printer is probably ready to go, and it's old enough generation that in today's time you couldn't.
If you get like a pretty like good size like all-in-one, I know like Dell and several of those make like really good.
Printer. Well, I mean, again, that's.
I mean,
They'll copy, scan, they'll do just about everything you can use.
So that's, I guess I see that's what this Rico does, or this printer copier, but it's one machine that will do all of that. So then to have a separate printer over here, well, that's a little bit of a duplication, but it is a insurance backup too. If the Rico's not cooperating that day, if I need one, just a few to run through the printer, I can do that too, I think. But I think I can just never put this cartridge back in.
Well, you still have an expense, because it's about $100 a cartridge for the big laser jets?
Oh, this is
$800.
This is $65. It's an old enough generation.
it would be black and white.
Yeah, it's not color.
Yeah,
Like
color.
the high capacities.
I don't know, I can look and see what mine.
They're cheap. Is it Hewlett Packard that you have?
Hmm?
Is it a Hewlett Packard? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, earlier this year I did a clothing canvas out of Rock Springs, and I was looking, because I was needing to print once I was there, and I ended up borrowing, my brother's printer to take it. But as I was checking with office printers what it was cheaper, but when I looked at per copies, then if I looked at the long-term range of copier, then it was cheaper to do it on the copier, even though initially it was more, but the cartridges, they'll say, will run about 50,000 copies. I mean, but there's 4 different cartridges going, so it's more expensive that you have that initial. I think if you play it over a year, then it becomes cheaper to go the more expensive route initially, maybe. But
Well, how about, just what proposal, 2012, we cover what the original agreement we had with them, and any of those overages, would you guys be willing to reimburse for 2012? We will talk with Rico to see if, they change that copy, or we're to the point where they just need to replace it with something that's not performing up to par. So I'm guessing, like you said, the Sharp's been sitting idle. I don't know what that cost would be to get it up and going, and then at that point, is it really that deficient? And
Well, I guess the question,
is that a possibility for 2012?
Oh, I think so.
I mean, because we're talking about 2 quarters, so.
Potentially, and we say the $750 for the quarter.
Yeah, it's about
$1,500.
yeah, they would see us, going, just as I look at programming and calendar, then this July to September quarter will be
Lower.
I mean, yeah, because actually, like in June, we would have done a lot of fair prep
Fair
work,
stuff.
pre I mean, we need to get it out, and so it would come that previous quarter versus this quarter, and then as I just look at programming, probably that next quarter will pick up a little bit, but probably the last quarter will be the most expensive quarter for us. I mean, at least for my side, haven't read Ray's calendar yet.
Okay. Is that fair? Is that? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so last quarter would have been about $779. So you think you'll be about in that range? The rest of the year, maybe a little less?
I would think maybe
About
a little.
1,500. Is that?
That's a start.
Is that okay? Is that?
We can try to make that work, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then.
Keep us in mind, future years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, as you plan 2013, and if there's not that and you expect it to pick it up, then probably you've got to maybe consider that as you're looking at finalizing your budgets. I think, Jeff, to help us, I mean, if we take back those costs, and as Ray said, we haven't had that print line item really, because you guys have been generous and picked it up that capital outlay then, so then it becomes that challenge in 2013, because can't go on sabbatical again next year to have that extra dollars to cover that.
Okay.
So that would be,
Does that work for you? Does that sound?
yeah.
We'll keep
We
it.
don't have to buy my copiers all year.
That's weighty decisions you guys did.
We can talk about fun stuff. The fair went off really well. You guys did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
So, everybody did, not just you, but all the volunteers.
Yeah, it is a time for that.
Kids, obviously.
Yeah, community come together and
Was
celebrate.
it mean, or was the parade like double the size, or I don't know? It just seemed like it was a lot longer than. There were more entrants. It just seemed like it was a lot bigger
I
than
don't
years
think it was
past.
as long.
It was.
I think it was maybe a little shorter, but I think what we
Oh,
dealt
right.
with was because it started later than it was darker.
Yeah.
And so I found myself as I was up on the
Oh.
announcer stand going, like, what, this is a longer play? I don't remember it dark before, and then Greg Booth said, Diane, we started a half an hour later. I said, Greg, I'm not thinking straight, so.
So psychologically, I think
Okay.
psychologically, just that half hour delay and like nice and getting into the darkest.
Not that it was a bad thing. It just seemed like it was maybe like there were more entrants. I couldn't tell. It just seemed like maybe there was a few more closed parades.
Yeah, it was a nice parade, and I like how you guys use that kind of commissioner's quality of life. I think that was a neat, I mean, it's just kind of neat, kind of fit into that theme of one great fair, and country, and so it's kind of, yeah, really well.
Hopefully attendance was good. It sure seemed like 2 nights I was out there, it seemed like there was pretty good attendance.
from a, and there's several issues too, as far as the little windstorm that came in Wednesday night, might kept some away, but then again, that's for the Atchison students, they were starting school that Thursday, so I'm probably not too inclined to come to the fair the night before, from a potential audience that you would hope to come to the fair. So it's a challenge to get audiences to any festival in some way. Sure. Whether it be Amelia Earhart or Oktoberfest or the fair. We hope people do embrace it and come forward.
Hear anything on the carnival? How did they?
I did not hear. Did not hear. And that's, we have a fair board, some different things.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
So
Well, thank you.
we'll keep exploring, kind of keep you guys up to date, I mean, where we are with that, and.
Yeah, and I'll inquire with Wes, we'll talk with Rico. Talk with Rico just to see what's going on with that. If it's not performing up to par, then replace it or work something out.
But Rico wouldn't, we don't have a, agreement for color copies, do they?
I believe it was just, black and white copies, and then any color was like over, or was some.
I think there was a set amount for color, but
Yeah.
then I think we went over last quarter
Yeah.
that amount, and so,
I think there's a black and white section and there's a color section.
Yeah.
Yes, you do have a,
It's budgeted in,
yeah, I
so
think
many copies.
it's collectively in there as far as black and white and color. Okay. What else is happening now?
Budget.
Ambulance.
Chase Brunick.
Just bring,
Benedict College graduate,
Okay.
and, he was,
Solid waste.
internship with City of Atchison and us on solid waste, so. He's been staying on with us through at least November, maybe hopefully a little bit longer.
I mean, December's up for grabs, January 17th is when I think classes start for
Yeah.
spring semester, so
Going after his master's in public administration.
I'm looking forward to it, but it's a necessity.
You're not looking forward to it.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Much
Oh,
more.
make money.
think of
Revenue.
it as the tool for the company.
Right.
Make revenue, not give out.
Yeah. And the rest of your life.
Just talking about the raise and tuitions across the board of public and private, they're all raising rates. Some double digits.
Yeah, there's hope for you.
I don't know which ones they were, they're listed off, I don't know what article they're listed off, universities run, the mid.
Football.
11, 12%.
And you like to go up.
And you have two?
Go off your current.
Well, they don't have
Aaron graduated college 3 years ago. He works for ADM.
My girlfriend.
I'm getting. Remember when he was going to college in 4 days?
Just working for home office, they're thinking, at least over the next couple of years, trying to stay in Kansas City area.
Little community on the west.
I'll probably end up,
Then it's down Greensburg for ADM.
like farming, to get a mill in Kansas City.
It's just a small country elevator range.
I mean, ideally, I'd like to work a couple of years and then
No,
go
thanks.
full time to do the executive, masters in public
Sure.
administration.
Sure. That's good.
I would actually look forward to that. You have to be out of school, or you have to have finance experience to even get in.
They're coming.
Yeah.
So,
They're coming.
there's that.
They are very
So, yeah, start to, get married to the family, and
Microsoft, I feel like.
have little kids around. Now you don't have to.
Relative is,
Right,
I
right.
don't know.
Do you think that
Cousin
they
or
get it when you're young?
Exactly, that's what everyone says.
I think I'm way short, probably 5 hours from MU, having
She was
lunch,
around.
and I got my
She
job,
was
moved to
back in
Western
my
Kansas.
She was your age
Free
in high school.
online days, could've gone to Colorado, but I think I'm paying State. Don't regret the education.
Anyway,
but
I
I'm
don't know.
Right.
Kind of important, so, and in an institution, I've had lots of opportunities for that continuing education.
That is the one thing, there
Yeah, we had a full house.
all public schools that are offering online education.
That'd get the
So
close
it's
up
like
report.
because most schools have
Too much to keep up
NPA
with.
programs. So I might try to,
Too much, I don't know, you can keep up with it.
I'm just going
washed down the pin several times during the fair, so that would be some gallons of water that didn't come out of the water tower, and I think, yes, it did come out of the pool. So, yeah, they were utilizing the resources effectively. Too bad we can't take some water out there. It's very inconvenient.
Yeah.
So people have to do some.
Everybody's so concerned about the corn, now I think the focus is changing a little bit, so.
It is kind of sad, isn't it? That comes to you.
Pretty low yield, like
That
that.
comes to you, Mr. Shealy. Sure we do the money. Hey, okay, let us know if you got any questions. We'll be done everybody. Are you done now? You're not done yet?
Not quite, we'll probably go a couple more budget things and.
Okay.
Sure, thank you.
Cookies and donuts don't come out yet then, huh? Okay, pigeons. Who do I contact if I have a solution?
Joe Bowen.
Okay, Memorial Hall.
Yeah.
See, how's the Memorial Hall?
He's got an office over there, or else he's over here quite a bit too. So
Okay.
he'd be one to contact.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
That one I'm not sure about, I know. Pat received that one, or I'm kind of clueless about it, I don't. Doesn't ring a bell.
Can I have some information about that, or call me on the Ford tractor? Did you ask for some information on the Ford tractor?
I didn't, probably one of my,
Okay.
they're requesting to buy a mower, I know that, there's some stuff that came through, that I seen yesterday. Buying a mower. They're wanting to buy a mower for 2013, but they want to put $1,000 down now.
And you better check the
Secure.
dollars. My impression is if you sign an agreement for something, you have to pay for it as a payment.
Yeah, and I told them that, but they're under the impression that you can still do that, and I, so we know, and we know about what it would cost to replace that mower, so we can build that in for their budget for 2013.
I'd like to see those pictures that Buddy brought in, I don't understand what his complaint.
Did they put it on here?
Yeah. Here's,
You know, it's something to do with the parade, but.
this is one. Yeah.
Here's the-
I don't have the same thing, we put it off the statutes. I don't know if there were any more pictures or not, those are the two that I had, he gave. Those are the two that he gave me.
I wasn't at the parade, I attended.
I was there, but we would have been like up front with it.
Yeah.
So when a campaign sign over here,
Looks like it was walking behind it.
I don't even know what that sign's off for. What's that sign off of here?
Trying,
I don't know, that's probably Google sign, anyway.
today, yeah, I don't know what time, though.
Blur, it's kind of blurry.
Okay, oh, yeah, I got you from there. Okay,
Taking from the
okay.
movie.
Yeah, could have been. So I think on the, extension office, they will, obviously any overages are gonna have to reimburse back this year, at least for any overages. It sounds like they'll hopefully be lower. And I can't remember what the copies built in total were, but I know they had a lot of stuff built in for. Pauline, have you had any conversations with Melanie Tuttle as far as the final draft?
Other than when she emailed saying that she was putting it together,
Okay, so she'd have it possibly by the end of the week.
and I can email her from down. I mean, I don't think if there made any changes, it's probably whatever the draft was.
Yeah, I don't think any changes on it.
So you're gonna wait until next week on line 9, budget or anything?
Yeah, we're trying to discuss it with Mike. Again, before he's back on Monday. Lee's back on Monday, not he's back. So,
How many more departments are we gonna, do we have left?
Got through about everybody. So just trying to look through, check marks and everybody we've seen. Have we heard anything back from Jeannie Kelly? I know Hayes Companies was wanting through June, and then they wanted any large claimants over 50,000. I haven't heard anything back from her. Have you had any contact with her?
The only thing I have is the, contract for the current, upcoming, which
We have to let them know by October 1st, is that right?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I could email her.
Yeah, we just basically need what they gave us, last year. We can get through June. With all those categories in that in total, and, large claimant, they don't have to give us, they just need to give us like what they did last year. Last year they gave us the amounts of those, they just want to see what that trend is. They were expecting it to be lower first, they thought it was lower this year, but that would be good when they go to market.
Big claim.
Yeah, I think it's large claim, first claim is over 50,000 is what they classify that as.
You just want total, right?
Yeah,
Total precise claim.
yeah, it's like broke, like the medical, dental, prescription, total. There's a category of like net, so somehow she broke it out where it's what our max coverage is and then what we actually use. That's about it. Tom, you got anything else?
No?
You're all ours today, right? For day 4?
Yep.
Did you get squared away on everything? We got you.
I still have to drop by your office and fill out, paperwork.
Okay.
And then I still need to go over to the city and figure out what, cause I have an email account with them that's tied to the finance director's computer, so am I allowed to, what am I allowed to do with that? Because, I'm still the contact person for a couple other RFPs for the city.
Okay, so you have to follow up with them to see what.
In fact, one of the guys just called me, and I need to figure out how, or what's gonna happen with that in the next 3 months. Do they want me to continue to develop, the RFPs for trucks and stuff, or do they wanna hand it off to somebody in Public Works? I would say I'll probably keep tabs on that,
Okay.
because, Gary's kind of busy. Can I, get a copy of the card from the CMG guy? From yesterday, or at least I'll write down his contact information.
That's natural gas, the guy with Kansas Gas Service.
They had a crisis again for something outside of that West Star office. I'd never noticed it before, but it's
So like for the stuff that they work on, or is it
I think it was some of their material,
for like wire or?
like looked like a bunch of yellow plastic tubing or stuff.
I don't know what that is, I wonder if it's like Romex or, and that's some sort of aluminum or metal.
I thought it started with an R. I just thought passing by the street, it's right along the street. Kind of inside there, looked like it was crossing the gate or something. Something, I just glanced driving by. But I'd never seen it before, so I figured that's probably something that was missing in there. I could just recycling business,
Mm-hmm.
They were wanting to look at putting $1,000 down this year, but everybody's believing that we should budget it in for 2013, 'cause I don't think you can spend those funds. Number one, they don't have it in their budget right now.
No.
Well, I don't know, whenever they talk about it, they were talking about like equipment was gonna skyrocket, which I don't know